In the era of 1970s, the world was split into two power blocks. On one side, the United States, and on the other, the Soviet Union. The Cold War was at its peak. Nuclear weapon had become the ultimate currency of power, and every rising nation was watched with suspicion. In the middle of this, India, a newly independent nation, quietly worked on the mission that would shock the world and escape the gaze of the most powerful intelligence agency on the earth, the CIA. On May 18, 1974, India officially entered the nuclear club. But what stunned the world wasn't just the explosion, it was the fact that no one saw it coming. The CIA, with all its satellites, missed every sign. But how did India pull this off? To answer that, we need to go back few decades to a visionary physicist named Dr. Homi Jahangir Baba. In the 1940s, after studying in Cambridge and working with some of the brightest minds in the nuclear physics, Baba returned to the India with a dream to make India self-reliant in science and technology. With the backing of Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, he founded the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research (TIFR) in 1945. While Baba publicly promoted nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, he also understood the role of a nuclear weapons would play in geopolitics. He believed that in order to be taken seriously on the world stage, India needed strength. Not just a moral strength, but technological strength. Sadly, Baba never got to see his dream fulfilled. In 1966, he died in mysterious plane crash over Mont Blanc. There were whispers of sabotage, but no investigation ever confirmed it. Despite his sudden death, the institution he had built remained strong, and the scientific community he nurtured was ready to take the next step. In the early 1970s, India's nuclear program was in the hand of a highly skilled team. Dr. Rajaramanna, a physicist trained under Baba, became the scientific director of the nuclear test. He was supported by Dr. P.K. Iyengar, an expert in plutonium reprocessing, and Dr. B.D. Nagachaudhary, who had overseen several key defense projects. All of them worked closely with Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, who gave a final political go-ahead for the test. The chosen site was Pokhran, a remote and harsh desert region in Rajasthan, isolated and under military control. It was a perfect place to conduct a nuclear test without drawing attention. But even then, hiding something this big from CIA would not be easy. The Americans had KS-9 hexagon satellites, also known as Big Bird. It passed over India once a day around 10:30 am. The images it captured were not real time. They were stored on film and dropped back Earth in capsule. But the resolution was good enough to detect a construction, vehicle tracks and heat signatures. India's Intelligence Bureau, IB, through a mix of clever guesswork and intelligence gathering, figured out the satellite's schedule. That was the major first advantage. With the satellite's timing known, India planned all the activity at Pokhran around it. Work started before dawn, between 4 am and 9:45 am. Scientists, soldiers, and engineers would dig, test, and build in the cool morning hours. By 10 am, everything was packed away. Equipment was hidden under sand, workers vanished, tracks were brushed out. From above, Pokhran looked like an untouched patch of a desert. But India didn't stop at timing. They used every possible camouflage technology. The sharp dug for the nuclear device, 170 meters deep, was labeled as Army Water Well, which seemed normal in the region like Rajasthan. Even the heat signatures were masked. Metal equipment was covered with reflective mylar sheets to disperse infrared signals. And no one worked after sunset. The desert's cold nights would make a lingering heat from machineries obvious to the satellite sensors. Then came the human element. To avoid raising suspicion, scientists wore local clothes, no label, coats, or formal ID tags. They wore Rajasthani turbans and simple uniform. On paper, the entire operation looked like a routine military drill. Documents for explosive lenses were marked as mining material. Sensitive equipment was listed as textile goods. And in case there were CIA informants on the ground, India spread misinformation. One suspected mole was spread a false story that India's implosion technology had failed and the program had been delayed. At the same time, DRDO leaked a fake news that missile engine tests were happening in Chandipur, Odisha. This drew attention away from the Pokhran. The Indian Army's role was equally crucial. The 43rd Regiment was deployed to completely seal off the test area. The official reason? Desert warfare training. No unauthorized personnel was allowed. Civilian flights were banned within 50-kilometer radius. With tight security and total secrecy, Pokhran became a ghost town. The Thar Desert's frequent sandstorms reduced the satellite visibility. The KH-9 satellite, despite being advanced for its time, had gaps in its coverage. And because it didn't transmit data in real time, by the time analysts reviewed any photos, India had already taken the next step. Then came the moment of truth. On the morning of May 18, 1974, device 124, a carefully engineered plutonium-based implosion bomb, was lowered into test shaft. Over 75 scientists, engineers, soldiers were present. Dr. Ramanna gave the final green signal. The shaft was sealed with layers of cement and sand. At exactly 8:05 am, the bomb was detonated. The explosion was powerful but contained underground. The earth shook. A small crater appeared, but back in Washington, the CIA analysts reviewed the images days later. One analyst flagged the crater, but it was dismissed as possible landslide or a geological anomaly. The file was labeled as non-urgent. That same evening, Indira Gandhi appeared on television. Calmly and clearly, she announced India has conducted a peaceful nuclear explosion. The world was stunned. The US was surprised and CIA was embarrassed. Later, a CIA veteran said, "We were fooled by the combination of India's excellent operational security and our own arrogance." India had pulled off one of the most complex operations in its history, without leaks, without noise, and without being caught. Operation Smiling Buddha wasn't just a scientific milestone, it was a political statement. It told the world India may be quiet, but it's not weak. It may be peaceful, but it is prepared. In the end, it wasn't satellites or spies that defined the outcome. It was human brilliance, discipline, and the unity. A team of less than 100 had outwitted the most powerful intelligence system on the earth. India didn't just test a bomb, it tested an idea. That smart thinking, silent execution, and national resolve can achieve what others call impossible.